So welcome to our earth flow session. So this is going to be a gentle, slow flow practice with a focus on the earth element. In terms of props, you can probably make do without anything, but you might want to have a couple of yoga bricks or blocks just to bring the ground up to you and just help you feel a bit more supported. And we're going to start in a comfortable seated position. You might want to use a brick or block underneath the hips. So you can just place that underneath the hips and come into any version just to help you get a nice straight spine. And when you're there, just trying to shuffle so that you are in a position that you're able to find that length. Maybe bringing the shoulders up to the ears. Let's take a couple of shoulder rolls just to get rid of any kind of stress in that area before we start to settle into a few deep breaths. Rolling the shoulders back, allow the hands to come to the lap, closing down the eyes if it works for you. See if you can find your ring finger and your thumb together. Again, you might need to peek if you're not familiar with it. We're coming into Prithvi Mudra, Earth Element Mudra. So thumb and ring finger together, just allowing them to your hand to gently rest wherever in the lap. Taking some breaths here, seeing if you can inhale and grow taller through the spine. Exhale and allow yourself to sink down and start to feel this connection with the earth. So thinking about where your body's in contact with the floor. Can you feel your sitting bones start to draw down? Feel the earth element pulling you down to the core of the earth. On the inhale, rising up, and exhale, drawing down, being pulled back down towards the earth. Beautiful. Wiggling the fingers and the toes, blinking those eyes open. Let's come into an all fours position and start our physical practice with a few cat-cows. So bringing wrists underneath shoulders, knees underneath hips. Seeing if you can arch the back, bring the shoulder blades together and gaze just to the front of the mat into your cow pose. And then curling that tailbone under, really pressing away into those arms. Feel the tummy come back towards the spine, chin come towards the chest in your cat pose. Starting to integrate breath and movement, if that works for you. Inhaling into cow, exhaling into cat. Just enjoying some gentle spinal mobility. So we're starting to gently warm up through the body. Pressing strongly into the earth, but keeping a little micro bend in the elbows so that the folds of your elbow point inwards rather than to the front of the mat. Beautiful. Coming to a flat back position, let's come into some hip circles, little shimmy. Doesn't have to be super symmetrical, just rolling around with your pelvis. And changing direction. Beautiful. Coming back to a flat back position. Inhale the left arm up and out to the side. Feel the stretch and opening. Exhale back to center. So we're twisting from the middle back. Inhale out. Lengthen through that wingspan. Exhale down. One more time. Inhale out. And this time we're going to bring the hand and come under. So scooping it under, coming onto the side of the face. Option to walk those right fingertips forward. An option to perhaps walk back with the leg. One more breath. And then if you took the leg, arm out, bringing back to center, inhaling out to the side, exhale back to center. Let's do the same thing on the opposite side. So working now with your right hand, inhale out. Exhale back to center. See if we can square off through the hips. So we're really twisting from the middle back, feeling the sense of length and opening through into that wingspan. One more, inhaling out. exhaling back. And then this time we're going to come through, seeing if we can spiral over to the side, coming onto the side of the face, thread the needle pose. Option to walk the left fingertips forward, and this time bring the left foot back. Feeling a sense of connection with the ground beneath you. Pausing here, perhaps getting that nice little stretch down the back leg if you took that option. And then bending at the knee, bringing the hand back in if you took those. Inhale back out to the side. Exhale back to center. Lovely. Bringing the hands forward, a palm distance, spreading those fingertips nice and wide, tuck the toes under, come up to find your downward facing dog. See if you can keep a nice gentle bend in the knees, see if you can really shift that weight up and back. And then perhaps once you've found your position, feet about hip distance apart, gently start to pedal through the legs, getting a nice little stretch if that works. Feeling a sense of pressing away with the shoulders, little micro bend in the elbows, keeping the tension out of the neck with a little nod and shake of the head. And then when you're ready, you're going to press it into your right foot. Inhale the left foot up and back and press it in between your hands. Help it through as you need. We're coming to high lunge today, bringing the hands to the hips and then hinging up. So with this position, we want the back heel to be up. So if you're finding it's down on the ground, gently see if you can shimmy that foot back a little bit further and see if you can start to straighten off through that back leg. Nice tall spine. Front knee gently tracking just about over the ankle, there or thereabouts. Option to bring the arms in, inhaling them up. Pausing for a couple of breaths here. We inhale to grow a little bit taller. Exhale, see if you can sink into the ground a little bit further. Inhale up to soften up. Exhale to soften and down into the ground. One more time. Inhale up. Exhale down. And then this is where you might want a brick or block. As I said at the beginning of the class, you might not need it, but if you wanted to use one, you can just bring it to the inside of that left foot. And we're going to twist from the middle back, bring the left arm out to the side. So we're finding a gentle high lunge twist. Lovely. Pausing here for a couple of breaths. Can just use fingertips on the ground. You can choose any setting of the block. Spinning around using that middle back. One more breath. Spiraling yourself back to the front, bring the fingertips either side. And then gently lowering the back knee down. We're coming into a low lunge here. Option to bring those arms up if it's comfortable. See if you can really start to engage with the tailbone, tucking it under so you feel this nice stretch down the front of that right thigh. Pausing here. Inhale to grow a little bit taller. Exhale, see if you want to soften down. Inhale, perhaps to draw a little bit upwards. Exhale to soften into the ground. Inhale up. Exhale, soften. Lovely. Bringing the hands around. Option to bring your bricks or blocks in. You can use two if that feels good, or you can just work with fingertips. We're going to rock back and keep the feet on the floor. So we often come into this version of our half split pose with the toes up, but keeping the mound of the foot flat on the floor, press into it and see if you get a different sensation of where that stretch is. Pausing here, holding for a couple of breaths. And then when you're ready, we're going to start to integrate those two movements together. So you can keep the hands on the bricks and blocks, roll forward and come up to your lunge this way, or you can start to bring the arms in, going up in the lunge and then bringing them down and back, or just down to the blocks into your half split. Use the tummy to support you, inhaling up, exhaling down. Really pressing that front foot into the earth, feeling that connection. Next time you come up, just pausing at the top and then bringing the hand to the inside of that left foot. I'm going to wiggle it out to the side. You can bring both blocks to the inside if that feels good. Bringing the toes out to a slight angle. We're coming into lizard pose. Option to stay here in your low version of the pose, or you can tuck the back toes under and come up into the high version. Looking to find a gentle little hip opener here. Wonderful. One more breath. And then if you're using the bricks or blocks, you can just put them onto the lowest setting. Plant your hands on them. Doesn't matter, you can do this on the floor, otherwise just planting the hands. And then you're going to see if you can press the top foot up and back, coming to find your downward facing dog. If you are using the bricks or blocks, try this variation where you perhaps have a little bit more height through the hands, enabling you perhaps to get those heels a little bit closer towards the floor. Feeling the sense of pressing up and back, pausing here for a moment. And you can stay in that downward facing dog or come down to a child's pose. But I have an option for you today if you want to flow through a little plank pose flow. We're going to move the bricks or blocks out the way, roll through into a little plank pose. Option to lower those knees down. Breathing here for a moment. And then exhaling those knees down to the earth. See if you can bring those elbows to the sides as you roll yourself down to the floor. Inhale yourself up. Press the tops of the feet into the earth. Little cobra. Pressing yourself up and back. Come through a child's pose. Options to pause there for a breath or two, or coming straight up into your downward facing dog. And you can choose the normal one or bring those bricks or blocks back in. We'll all meet in our downward facing dog. And when you're ready, this time you're going to press into the left foot, inhale the right foot up and back. Exhale it in between your hands. Again, help it through if you need. Stepping it there. And then we're coming into our high lunge once more. Bringing the hands to the hips. You use that tummy to bring yourself up. Planting strongly through the front foot. Checking you're on train tracks rather than a tightrope. Pressing away into that back heel. Option to bring that arms up. Getting a little bit stronger pose if you like. Pausing here, inhale to grow a little bit taller. Exhale, see if you want to sink into this pose a little more. Inhale up, sink towards the ground. Rising and falling one more time with the breath. Lovely. And then perhaps finding that brick or block by the front once more, choosing your setting, can be on the highest, perhaps medium, and then twizzling yourself around. You can bring the hand onto the hip, see if you can keep that left heel pressing away, bringing the arm up to the side. If it feels too much with the arm, you can always just bring it to the hip and work in this position. Pausing here, just for one more breath. Spiraling yourself around. Option to use your bricks or blocks if they're already at the top of the mat to lower that back knee down to the earth. Untuck the toes. Inhale up into your lunge. Arms always an option. You can always keep the hands on the hips. Pausing here. Inhale to draw upwards. Exhale to sink down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Work with this flow. Then you can take the movement as much or a little as you want. Just one more breath. And then bringing the hands either side, perhaps finding those bricks or blocks, shuffling the bum back, so hinging back, keeping the front foot flat on the floor, pressing away, but extending into that front leg. We find our half split, toe down variation. Folding perhaps a little bit further forward, feeling that nice stretch into the hamstring, but you might feel it more into the calf with this variation. Pausing here, just settling into this movement. See if you can square off through the hips. So drawing that right hip bone back, left hip bone forward. Lovely. And then starting to perhaps work through that flow, integrating arms and breath if you are up for it. Inhaling up. Exhaling down. Flowing, feeling this connection with the earth beneath you. Making this one your last one. When you come back to the top, gently exhaling the hands to the inside of that front foot, popping perhaps the bricks or blocks in between if that feels comfortable, or working with fingertips on the floor. And then gently staying where you are, but twizzling those right toes out to the side, coming into a little angle, so low lizard pose, or you can come into the high version by tucking the back toe under. See what feels good for you today. Wonderful. One more breath. And then option to come onto fingertips, or perhaps use those bricks or blocks once more as we step the front foot to meet the back, coming into our downward facing dog. Option to pause here and just take the dog, or perhaps take a child's pose, or going through that flow once more. I'm going to move the bricks or blocks out the way. You can do it, but they sometimes get in the way. Rolling through into your plank. Pause for a breath. Wrists underneath shoulders. Exhale, knees down, draw yourself down, keep those elbows in. Inhale yourself up. Press the tops of the feet into the earth. Let's take an extra breath here. Pressing away with those hands, come back through your child's pose, and then coming up to find your downward facing dog. And we'll all meet in our downward facing dog before gently shuffling the feet up to the top of the mat, coming into a forward fold. See if you can keep the knees generously bent, tummy coming towards the tops of those thighs, draping yourself down so everything's going down towards the earth. Softening through the face, the jaw, maybe take a nod and shake of the head if it's good. Option to grab opposite elbows. Pressing in your feet into the earth and gently starting to roll yourself up. Use that core to support as you come all the way up. Rolling those shoulders back. Taking a moment just to resettle, find yourself in your Tadasana mountain pose. And perhaps coming back to that Prithvi, the earth mudra, bringing the thumb and ring finger together at the sides of the body. Tiny little bend through the knees. See if you can really connect the feet into the earth, perhaps rocking front to back, side to side, until you find a nice point where you're really in the middle. You feel like you're really centered. And start to gently press through the feet. So you have this sensation of grounding, rooting, feeling this connection with the earth element beneath you. Wonderful. And then when you're ready, blinking the eyes open, bring the hands to the hips. See if you can find a spot to stare at on the floor. And we're going to bring our weight into our right leg. Bring the left foot up, so bringing the knee up. You can drive it as high as feels comfortable, so you could just be working slightly off the ground or working all the way up. One more breath here. And then we're going to gently, you can tap the foot down if you need to, but otherwise hinging forward, you can keep that knee bent as you roll forward and then kick the leg out, coming to find your warrior three pose. One breath here, doing really well. Coming into as much, you're working towards parallel, you can be up here. And then you're going to gently step the foot down, find yourself in your high lunge once more. Inhale the arms up. And then exhale that left hand down, twizzling over. Again, you can use a brick or block if you want, coming into that twist. Twizzle yourself back to the front. And then we're going to step the back foot to meet the front, coming into our forward fold. Again, taking a little moment to dangle here, to enjoy a sense of connection with the earth, really pressing into those feet. And then gently rolling yourself up. rolling the shoulders open, coming back to that strong mountain pose position. Feeling those inner thighs gently rolling in towards one another, tiny bend in the knee. Hands come back to the hips. Coming to see if you can find another little spot on the floor to stare at, engage through the tummy, and we're pressing into the left foot this time. Raise that right knee up. Find your balance. Use that core, press into the standing leg foot. It's getting a nice little workout. And then when you're ready, we're going to hinge forward. Again, you can keep that knee bent and then press away with that foot to straighten it off, coming into our warrior three pose. So only taking it as far as feels good for you. We pause just for a breath and then gently lower that foot down to the ground. So coming onto the toes and finding our high lunge. Inhale those arms up. And we exhale the right hand down to the ground, coming to find our high lunge twist on this side. Really nice. One more breath. And then rolling yourself forward. We're going to gently press the back foot into the front, finding that gentle forward fold. Taking a little rock from side to side. Pressing your feet firmly into the floor, gently rolling yourself up. Finding that mountain pose. Bring the feet a little bit wider than our hips and gently sinking down. We'll come through a little yogi squat. You might find that you're quite open or not, and gently bringing the hands behind you. And let's bring the feet out just wider than hip distance apart, bringing the knees over to one side. Pause, just allow yourself to get a nice little stretch. Come back to center and the other side. Couple more of these just to start to calm the breath down. See if you can really slow it down using that breath and movement. And then coming back to find your comfortable seated position. If you're in cross-legged, trying to choose the other way, the one that doesn't feel natural with the opposite foot forward. And then coming back to find your earth mudra, perhaps that thumb and ring finger together, closing down the eyes. Take a big deep breath in through the nose. Gently sigh out through the mouth. Just connecting, feeling that sense of connection between your sitting bones and the earth. So allow that to be your point of focus. Trying to keep that straight spine so you can always pop a little prop underneath the bum if you're finding that you're tilting forward or not able to maintain that length with minimal effort. But otherwise, using that sense of connection with the earth below, this sense of support, stability. And your earth element is associated with creating these solid foundations. So this sense of stability, support, but yeah, and a sense of grounding, feeling present in this moment. It's also associated with our lower body. So we've been working a lot with lower body strength and also balance. And hopefully you're going to feel balance in both body and mind at the end of this practice. Bringing the hands to heart center, keeping the eyes closed as you bow, perhaps the hands down, feeling a connection between mind and body. Thanking yourself for stepping on your mat and giving yourself this time and space. And thank you very much for your practice. Hopefully you're feeling nice and grounded and nice and connected to the earth. And I look forward to seeing you very soon.